The elegant halls of the Quartermain mansion have witnessed many dramatic revelations over the decades, but few have shaken the family's foundation quite like the events now unfolding in Port Charles. What began as Tracy Quartermain's persistent doubts about the mysterious arrival of Monica's long-lost sister Ronnie has spiraled into a web of deception that threatens to destroy everything the family holds dear. Tracy's sharp instincts had been working overtime since Veronica Ronnie Bard first appeared at Monica's funeral, claiming to be the sister Monica never mentioned. The timing seemed convenient, the story too perfect, and Tracy's decades of experience dealing with fortune hunters and family schemers set every alarm bell ringing in her head. "She will not get this house over my dead body," Tracy had declared to Alexis Davis after learning that Monica's will designated Ronnie as the heir to the Quartermain mansion. The reading of the will had left everyone stunned. Not Michael, not Jason, not any of the established Quartermains, but this stranger who materialized just when Monica could no longer speak for herself. Michael's investigation begins. Tracy's vocal suspicions about Ronnie's true identity and motivations didn't fall on deaf ears. Michael Corinthos, who had expected to inherit the mansion that had been his home for so many years, began to see merit in Tracy's concerns. The more he observed Ronnie's behavior and listened to Tracy's reasoning, the more convinced he became that something wasn't right about the entire situation. Michael opens up to Ronnie. The recent episodes had shown, but this newfound closeness wasn't born of genuine affection. It was strategic. Michael had learned from his adoptive father Sonny and his uncle Jason that sometimes you had to get close to your enemies to understand their true intentions. As he spent time with Ronnie, asking seemingly innocent questions about her relationship with Monica and her past, Michael began building a case. The investigation wasn't just about satisfying Tracy's paranoia. Michael had genuine concerns about how Monica's final wishes were being manipulated. The woman who had raised him, loved him, and treated him as her own grandson would never have left the family home to a virtual stranger while ignoring her flesh and blood. Uncovering the deception, Michael's methodical approach to investigating Ronnie soon yielded results that exceeded even Tracy's darkest suspicions. Through careful examination of documents, discreet inquiries, and leveraging his connections in Port Charles, Michael discovered evidence that shattered the foundation of Ronnie's claims. The will itself had been tampered with. Monica's original testament, which would have left the mansion to Michael as Tracy had expected, had been altered in the final weeks of Monica's life. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. The signature, the witnesses, even some of the language used in the revised will bore the fingerprints of fraud. Michael's investigation revealed that Martin Gray, Tracy's longtime adversary, had orchestrated the entire scheme. The letter Martin had found at Drew's house months earlier, the one with childish scribbles that seemed like innocent debris, was actually the key to the entire plot. Martin had used it to contact Ronnie and bring her to Port Charles, timing her arrival perfectly with Monica's death to execute their plan. The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Ronnie had indeed falsified the will results, working in concert with Martin to exact revenge on Tracy while enriching herself in the process. Monica's real will, the one that would have honored her true intentions and left the mansion to Michael, had been destroyed to prevent anyone from discovering the fraud. The confrontation explodes. When Michael presented his evidence to Tracy, her fury was unprecedented. The silver-haired Quartermain matriarch, who had endured decades of family betrayals and schemes, felt a rage that burned hotter than anything she had experienced. This wasn't just about money or property. This was about honoring Monica's memory and protecting the family legacy from those who would exploit their grief. The confrontation between Tracy and Ronnie became legendary among the household staff. Tracy, losing all pretense of civility, screamed at Ronnie that she was pulling a scam while Ronnie maintained her innocent facade. But now Tracy had Michael's evidence, and her accusations carried the weight of proof rather than mere suspicion. Tracy loses control and screams in Ronnie's face. Witnesses would later recount, describing how the usually composed society matron's mask finally slipped completely. Years of being undermined by Martin Gray, combined with the audacity of this elaborate fraud targeting Monica's memory, pushed Tracy beyond her breaking point. The police investigation unfolds. Michael wasted no time in taking the evidence to the authorities. Understanding that family disputes over wills could easily be dismissed as internal squabbling, he presented his findings directly to Anna Devane and the Port Charles Police Department. The evidence was overwhelming. Forensic analysis of the documents, witness testimonies about the timing of changes, and financial records showing suspicious payments all painted a clear picture of criminal fraud. The investigation moved swiftly once law enforcement became involved. Martin Gray's phone records showed extensive communication with parties in Pennsylvania around the time of Monica's death. Bank records revealed payments to document specialists known for their ability to age papers and forge signatures. Most damaging of all, handwriting analysis confirmed that Monica's signature on the revised will had been forged. When the police arrived at the Quartermaine mansion with arrest warrants, Ronnie's composure finally cracked. The sweet, innocent sister act that had fooled so many family members dissolved as she realized the scope of the evidence against her. Martin Gray, facing charges that could send him to prison for years, quickly began negotiating with prosecutors, offering testimony against Ronnie in exchange for a reduced sentence. The devastating truth revealed. The full extent of the fraud sent shockwaves through Port Charles. Ronnie had indeed been Monica's sister, abandoned in foster care decades earlier, but she had harbored resentment against Monica's success and family for years. When Martin Gray contacted her with his scheme for revenge against Tracy, she saw an opportunity to claim what she felt she deserved while destroying the family that had never reached out to help her. The original will, as Tracy had suspected, left the Quartermaine mansion to Michael, along with specific provisions for other family members. Monica had also included a heartfelt letter explaining her choices, expressing her love for the family that had accepted her, and her hopes for the future generation to continue the Quartermaine legacy. But that will, Monica's true final testament, had been completely destroyed by Ronnie to prevent its discovery. She had burned the documents in the mansion's fireplace, along with Monica's personal letter, ensuring that no trace remained of Monica's actual wishes. The destruction of these irreplaceable documents added additional felony charges to the growing case against her. Justice and consequences. Ronnie's arrest sent ripples throughout Port Charles society. The woman who had briefly been embraced as family, who had shared meals at the Quartermaine table and listened to stories about Monica's life, was led away in handcuffs as news cameras captured every moment. The charges against her included fraud, forgery, conspiracy, and destruction of legal documents, crimes that would likely result in significant prison time. Martin Gray's role in orchestrating the scheme cost him more than just legal troubles. His law license faced suspension or revocation, and his reputation in Port Charles was utterly destroyed. The man who had spent years trying to exact petty revenge against Tracy now faced the prospect of losing everything he had built in his legal career. For the Quartermaine family, Ronnie's arrest brought a mixture of relief and sadness. While justice was being served, they couldn't escape the knowledge that Monica's final wishes had been perverted and her memory desecrated by someone who should have honored their blood connection. The aftermath and family healing. With Ronnie's deception exposed and justice in motion, the Quartermaine family began the difficult process of healing. Michael, vindicated in his investigation but saddened by the need for it, worked with family attorneys to establish his rightful claim to the mansion. Though Monica's original will was destroyed, witness testimony from family members and Monica's longtime lawyer helped reconstruct her true intentions. Tracy, despite being proven right about her suspicions, took no satisfaction in the victory. Her vendetta with Martin Gray had reached its conclusion, but the cost, Monica's memory being tarnished and the family's grief being exploited, seemed high for any sense of triumph. The mansion itself, that grand symbol of Quartermaine power and tradition, would eventually return to family hands, but the scars of this deception would linger. Every future will reading, every new person claiming family connections, would be viewed through the lens of this betrayal. As Port Charles struggled to process the shocking revelations, one truth emerged clearly: Tracy Quartermain's instincts about protecting her family, honed through decades of experience with fortune hunters and schemers, had once again proven invaluable. Her relentless suspicions about Ronnie had not only exposed a criminal conspiracy, but had preserved Monica's true legacy for future generations of Quartermains. The investigation, that began with Tracy's doubts and Michael's determination, had revealed the lengths to which some people would go to exploit grief and steal from the vulnerable. But it had also demonstrated that the Quartermain family, despite all their internal conflicts and rivalries, would ultimately stand together when their legacy was threatened by outside forces seeking to destroy what generations had built. Next, we will learn about the explosive drama surrounding A.D. Justine Turner's potential involvement in the shocking shooting of Congressman Drew Cain. In the intricate web of Port Charles intrigue, recent developments have cast a long shadow over the Quartermain family estate, where a seemingly minor clerical oversight in a critical search warrant has ignited fierce speculation about hidden agendas and personal vendettas. As fans of a BC General Hospital eagerly dissect every twist, the question looms large: was this address blunder a simple slip-up, or a calculated move by the ambitious district attorney to protect a dangerous secret? The stakes couldn't be higher, with loyalties tested and alliances fracturing in ways that could redefine the power dynamics of the town forever. The saga began when Police Commissioner Anna Devane, ever the sharp investigator with her years of international espionage experience, pieced together a pivotal clue from the crime scene evidence. The firearm recovered from the shadows of Drew Cain's attempted assassination matched none other than the antique revolver once belonging to the late patriarch Edward Quartermain, a weapon steeped in family lore and hidden away in the opulent vaults of the Quartermain mansion. Acting with her trademark urgency, Anna collaborated closely with A.D. Justine Turner, whose reputation for ironclad legal precision had made her a cornerstone of the Port Charles District Attorney's Office. Together, they drafted and expedited the search warrant, envisioning a swift raid that would unearth not just the gun, but possibly a deeper conspiracy linking old money to modern-day violence. Accompanied by the reliable Detective Harrison Chase, whose street-smart instincts complemented Anna's strategic mind, the team descended upon the estate under the cover of a foggy evening, their flashlights cutting through the grandeur of manicured gardens and echoing hallways lined with portraits of Quartermain ancestors. Yet, just as the search party breached the threshold, ready to comb through dusty attics and locked studies for traces of gunpowder residue or incriminating correspondence, disaster struck in the form of an unforeseen roadblock. Veronica Ronnie Bard, the enigmatic new proprietor of the Quartermain property, having recently acquired it through a controversial real estate deal shrouded in whispers of corporate espionage, intercepted the officers with a steely gaze and a sheaf of legal documents in hand. With the poise of someone accustomed to high-stakes boardroom battles, Ronnie pointed out the glaring discrepancy. The warrant bore the address 65 Harbor View Road, while the actual Quartermain residence stood proudly at 66 Harbor View Road, a single-digits difference that transformed a legitimate operation into an invalid farce. This revelation halted the proceedings abruptly, forcing Anna and Chase to retreat empty-handed, their frustration palpable amid the scent of aged wood and fresh betrayal. Ronnie, portrayed as a no-nonsense businesswoman with a mysterious past possibly tied to international finance, didn't hesitate to leverage the error, citing privacy violations and threatening countermeasures that could tie up the investigation in court for months. At the heart of this procedural nightmare sits A.D. Justine Turner, the meticulous lawyer whose fingerprints, figuratively speaking, are all over the flawed paperwork. Viewers were treated to a tantalizing flashback scene at the local boxing gym where Turner, sweat-glistened and focused, deliberately confirmed the erroneous 65 with a co-conspirator over a hushed phone call, her lips curling into a subtle, knowing smirk that betrayed volumes about her intentions. This moment, layered with the rhythmic thuds of punching bags and the metallic tang of exertion, humanized Turner while simultaneously painting her as a master manipulator, her athletic build and sharp intellect making her an unlikely but formidable antagonist. Back at the Port Charles Police Department, Anna vented her bewilderment to Chase in a dimly lit interrogation room, poring over the documents under harsh fluorescent lights. "Justine has never faltered like this before," Anna remarked, her British accent laced with suspicion, recalling Turner's flawless track record in prosecuting everything from petty thefts to mob-related racketeering. The anomaly gnawed at her, suggesting either unprecedented incompetence or deliberate sabotage designed to shield someone close to the crime. Delving deeper into Turner's psyche reveals a simmering grudge that could fuel such treachery, rooted in a clandestine encounter weeks earlier at the Corinthos penthouse. Turner had arrived for a routine consultation with mob kingpin Sonny Corinthos, discussing strategies to counter rising threats from rival syndicates. When Drew Kane burst through the door like a storm cloud, his congressional badge gleaming with misplaced authority. Unbeknownst to Drew, Turner lurked in an adjoining study, eavesdropping through a cracked door as the congressman unleashed a tirade of blackmail against Sonny, demanding control of prime waterfront real estate in exchange for silence on unrelated investigations. The confrontation escalated when Drew referenced a brutal altercation involving Sonny's nephew, Michael Corinthos, vowing arrests and public scandals unless his demands were met. Sonny, unflinching as ever with his gravelly voice and unyielding stare, rebuffed the threats, but the damage was done. Turner emerged shaken, her view of Drew shattered from the upright politician she once admired to a power-hungry bully willing to bend the law for personal gain. In the days that followed, she confided in a close colleague over coffee at Kelly's diner, her eyes flashing with resolve. "Men like Kane think they own the system. I'll make sure he pays for underestimating it." This personal slight has intertwined with broader romantic undercurrents, adding layers of complexity to Turner's character arc on General Hospital. Sparks have flown between her and Sonny ever since their initial clashes months ago, when she aggressively pursued charges against his organization only to find herself drawn to his raw charisma and moral ambiguity. Their dynamic has evolved into a flirtatious dance, stolen glances during courthouse encounters, late-night strategy sessions laced with innuendo, and even a charged moment at the Metro Court where Sonny defended her against a sleazy defense attorney. Donna Corinthos, Sonny's precocious daughter, has taken an unexpected shine to Turner, bonding over shared stories of resilience during a family barbecue at the boathouse, where Donna declared, "You're tough, like Dad, but smarter, no offense." This budding alliance could pave the way for a full-blown romance, pitting Turner's prosecutorial ethics against Sonny's underworld life in a classic forbidden love tale. Imagine scripted scenes of passionate arguments turning tender under the harbor lights, or Turner confiding her doubts about the Kane case to Sonny, only for him to reveal a clue that implicates an entirely new player. Yet, as history on the show dictates, such chemistry often serves as a smoke screen, with writers prone to flipping scripts overnight, turning allies into adversaries or vice versa to keep viewers on edge. Of course, the piece de resistance in this unfolding mystery would be if Ada Turner emerges as Drew Kane's actual shooter, a revelation that would append her squeaky clean image as the epitome of justice in Port Charles. Envision the motive, not just revenge for the blackmail fiasco, but a deeper crusade to dismantle the corrupt underbelly she believes Drew represents. Firing that fateful shot from a concealed vantage point near the congressional offices during a stormy night rally, her law-abiding facade, crisp suits, eloquent closing arguments, and a pristine office adorned with civic awards would crumble under interrogation, exposing a vigilante streak honed from a fabricated backstory of losing a family member to political corruption in her youth. Alternatively, what if Turner's allegiance lies elsewhere, colluding with the shadowy figure of Jen Sidwell, a reclusive tech mogul introduced in recent episodes as a puppet master pulling strings from a high-rise lair overlooking the skyline? The address error could be a clever diversion, buying time for Sidwell's operatives to relocate evidence from the mansion, perhaps including encrypted files linking him to arms trafficking that Drew was about to expose. Picture tense montages of Turner meeting Sidwell in a nondescript warehouse, exchanging nods over blueprints of the Quatermain grounds, her loyalty tested by offers of power that tempt her beyond the DA's office. In the grand tradition of General Hospital's masterful whodunit narratives, the true perpetrator is invariably the suspect. No one sees coming the polished professional harboring a storm of unresolved fury. Justine Turner embodies this archetype perfectly, her poised demeanor masking potential depths of deception that could ripple through every corner of Port Charles society. As alliances shift and secrets unravel, the investigation promises more heart-pounding confrontations, perhaps culminating in a climactic showdown at the Quatermain estate where Ronnie Bard reveals her own ties to the intrigue. Fans, stay tuned to our channel for weekly updates on this riveting storyline, because in the world of ABC General Hospital, trust is the deadliest illusion of all.